Hello, you wonderful people. How's it going? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate you being here. The Expanse. I've taken a little time off from covering the show, and I apologize if you were waiting for me to cover it because I still intend on doing it, but I think I kind of led you to believe it would be more consistent than it is. I got distracted. The Mandalorian started back up. I went back and watched all the first season and then some of the second season. And it just turns out that no one gives a shit. These videos get zero traction, none. I don't mind that much though. I mean, I'm still happy to do it. I wanted to know how I really felt about The Mandalorian because it's actually a relatively controversial show. As some people think it's great. Isn't it so great? And I am of the mindset that it's like, once in a while, it's pretty good. But it felt good to cover it. Felt good to go into a different show and review it. All those reviews are up there, by the way. If you want to see what I think, I find my thoughts really interesting. So maybe you will too. But I'm back, baby. I am back to covering The Expanse. It is November 17th. The new season starts December 16th, which means I've got about I don't know, 30 or so episodes to cover by December. I really got a tall order for myself, but I am going to do my best to cover every single episode of The Expanse before the new season launches. And then when it does, me and Lindsay are going to cover them hopefully day of. It'll probably come out on a Friday, I would guess. I'm not sure, but we're going to try to cover it day of, talk about it with the new season because it's the best show on TV. And, brand new season. We're going to see how it comes out. It looks good. I mean, we'll see. We will see. So before we get started tonight, guys, please do me a favor. Press like on the video. Means a lot. Shows me that you love me. Shows YouTube that you love me and that you appreciate the content. And therefore, it'll be exposed to a wider audience. Hopefully, they're enriching my channel, giving me more flexibility to do this more often. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't yet. Lots of cool content coming down the pike. I think it's down the pike, like turnpike, down the pike. Anyway, down some sort of avenue that'll be delivered to you. In December, me and Lindsay are going to cover a bunch of Christmas movies. So if you love Christmas like me and Lindsay do, maybe you come check that out. That'll be a lot of fun. Other than that, just the regular stuff. Me and Lindsay, me and Jared, The Expanse, Mandalorian. Lots of good stuff. Well, what do you say we get started on today's episode, huh? Episode 8. Episode 8 is called Pyre. Now, to be completely honest, I don't really remember where I left off because it has been several weeks since I've covered The Expanse. So once again, I deeply, sincerely apologize. I didn't mean to leave you hanging there. But to my credit, I am back. I'm back covering The Expanse, baby. Because it is the greatest show ever. I know I've already said that. I'm going to say it again. I love it. I love my Expanse so very much. I got a new shirt. I couldn't find it. It must be in the laundry. I wanted to show it off for you guys. It's pretty obscure. Even my friends were like, what am I looking at? Is that from Fallout? They had no idea. I'm proud of it. I'll show it off. Some show. I think I may have worn it during one of me and Lindsay's shows, but I have not worn it for my Expanse show yet. It's pretty cool. I'm proud of it. So here we go. Oh, we're in a field. We're in a field with grass. I don't know why we're in a field with grass. I don't remember this. Oh, do I have the closed captions on? I forgot it. Here we go. Oh, you know why? We're not in a field of grass. We're in a dome on Ganymede. Yes. It's a farm dome, an ag dome, agricultural dome. And there's a little, what is her name? Little May. M-E-I? Is it May? I think it's May. And she's running away. Look, Daddy. Oh, look. Man, that is so beautiful, though. It's a moon of Jupiter. That looks like Jupiter to me. I always get Saturn and Jupiter confused. I don't know why. Saturn's rings and Jupiter doesn't have. I don't know, but it should be easy. But my brain doesn't work in that department for some reason. But it's Jupiter, and wow. And then like a bunch of stuff comes on the dome and crushes it. And what is his name? Prax. That's right. Yeah, he was one of those characters that I didn't realize was going to become such a significant part of the show. It was pretty cool when he did, because they do this in this show so many times that every time it happened on my first run through, when they would just be focusing on a different person's story, I would always be annoyed. I'm like, get me back to the Rossi, get me back to Tycho. Don't be introducing me all these new willy-nilly crazy characters, and then every single time. I was grateful that they introduced me to some new willy-nilly character because I enjoyed it. I'd always find myself interested in the story. Here's a fun little misdirect with Prax when he's the refugee and he ends up on the Rossi and all that later on. He's got that tube, that cylinder that he unscrews and he looks in and then he rescrews it. And I think it's this kind of like a little bit of a red herring, a little misdirect for the audience that it might be Protomolecule, which was pretty cool. But in the end, it's just a soybean. Which is great. It's great. Oh, this is one of the most brutal sequences coming up. One of the most brutal sequences on this show, I think. It hasn't happened quite yet. But when it does, I'll get there and I'll talk about it. And I'll talk to you about it because it's so interesting. This Belter guy is brutal. Oh! They finally translated the Belter by this episode. Nice. I thought I had it in the wrong language for a second, but no, they started translating in earlier episodes. It would just say speaking foreign language. And now it says it actually has the Belter translation. Good step in the right direction. Cause it's like, and it's like kind of a real language, you could understand parts of it, which I always liked about it. So he Prax meets his friend Doris. I guess that they work together on the lab, and it's so interesting to see like futuristic refugees like this, like refugees from Ganymede, and it's like this system-wide problem because of this war with Earth and Mars. People getting displaced, like getting displaced from a country's got to be pretty tough. Getting displaced from a moon, a little more difficult. And so they're all in this big, like clunky, awful, ugly Belter transport. Filthy, crammed in there. This cast has got to be, it's got to be the most diverse cast on TV. I can't think of another example of a cast that is so diverse. I mean, so many different ethnicities represented and covered and given main roles, and it's probably the most elegantly executed in that department, in that there's no like spotlight on it. Like, see, a black guy, look, a black guy. It's just like, yeah, it's a black guy. It's not a big deal. It's not a big deal as an Asian guy. And then because they don't make it a big deal, it's not a big deal when I'm watching it. I'm not even thinking about it at all. I'm just like, oh, this guy, hey, what's going on? This guy lost his kid. That sucks. It's only later that you're like, wow, this is a really diverse cast. Because, I mean, that's the most important thing ever. I won't rant. I won't get on my pulpit. Here we go. Back to the Rossi. That looks cool. God, I love the Rossi. And we're at Tycho. Do they get you what you want? I do love Tycho as well. Oh, it looks so cool. Oh, this is when they just went after. They tried to go after Anderson Dawes. They let him get away, and they just caught Diogo. Diogo, I used to like you, man. I used to like you. I tweeted at him once and he got back to me, the actor who played him. Shouts to Andrew Rotilio. Shouts. This was earlier during quarantine when I was like, I'm watching Expanse for the 15th time or whatever. He got back to me. Yeah. See, Diogo is a great example of someone who got radicalized. Someone who was, in a very unfortunate situation, defined by their culture, but was misled by an ideologue, by someone who spouts things that sound good, but don't necessarily have everyone's best intentions in mind. Anderson Dawes is a great, great villain. I don't remember what happens to him. I don't remember if he dies. I kind of don't remember where that goes. Anyway, this is a cool moment between Naomi and Alex when they were gearing up, like when they went to go track down Anderson Dawes' ship, or what they thought was, Alex like got down in like the rifle position and gave Naomi a gun and told him like to shoot whoever comes through the door no matter what. And she like was unsure about it. And then afterwards she was straight up pissed about it. And it was cool. She's like, you don't tell me who to shoot ever. I was like, oh, wow, badass. Naomi is badass. And speaking of badass, my queen, Kara G, drummer. I love you so much, drummer. She's the best. Utterly gorgeous, tremendous actress. She is one of the, I don't know, you can't say better or best, but she's a standout for me. She's so remarkable in her role. She's like a pipsqueak. She looks like she's about 5 feet, 100 pounds, but she is so powerful. Like the energy comes off her, the looks, her acting thing, unparalleled, and just like great posture, like a military person. Always has great posture, no matter what the scene. It really reflects her. Her character is so well conceived and researched. She's amazing. I've never seen anything. Oh yeah, she did a little web series I forgot to check out. I mentioned that during one of the live streams. She did a live a web series, like, and they were shorts. I think it totaled to be maybe an hour, and I never went back and watched it. I think it was science fiction or paranormal or something. I meant to go watch it and review it, and I forgot. I think that's something I'm going to start doing, is highlighting independent content that I find on the internet, because I bitch and moan about Hollywood, but like all I ever do is cover their stuff. So I think I might try to shine a light on some more independent stuff and see what's out there, see if we can find some good content that's just made without the strings that are attached with Hollywood. Now, Anderson Dawes is threatening. Well, not threatening. He's talking to Fred Johnson at Tycho, because I think he felt he lied to him, that Fred Johnson lied to him by keeping that guy and the Protomolecule, and that he had the power he had the inner's weapon, as he called it. But that's because Anderson Dawes is someone who's focused on power and not what's right. Because Johnson had all these things, but it wasn't for power. He didn't care about power. He cares about what's best for the belt. And I've stolen your secret, Fred Johnson, and I am giving it to the belt. He focused on what was best, and what's best is understanding the protomolecule and destroying it, not using it as leverage or using it as a weapon. Here we are. We're on the farm barge, the transport ship that all the Belter refugees are on. Really quite cool. Really quite cool indeed. In a very desperate situation, these people. And they're basically, I think they're getting like a handout from the Belter transport, the farm transport. And I don't think the Belters are into it. Like, they're like, not our problem. I mean, I guess it's hard to say. They're just very gruff, and there's limited supplies to go around, and they're fighting over it and stuff like that. It's just a very desperate situation. And, most of the Belters are poor anyway, so any kind of extra burden on them is just that, an extra burden. It's an interesting storyline, too, in the way that Prax, you meet him, and his daughter's dead. It's like, fuck. Like, he comes out, he basically like comes out of a coma, essentially. He's got this like, clearly had some sort of surgery on his head or some sort of stitch to save his life. And then when he wakes up, he's like, his daughter's dead. And it's just like, Christ, it's just a hard way to wake up. But then it goes on, and you start to learn that not necessarily that May might be alive. And then it becomes this whole search, and intertwines with the Rocinante, intertwines with the overall story. I think James S.A. Corey and the writing staff here for The Expanse, there's no better example of writing progression that I can think of, modern writing progression, especially on the scale that it's at with this show, where story happens, event happens, event sends all these different like things out into the universe, and the way they build off those little things, they very rarely, if I can't even think of any examples where they make contrived choices to weave the plot into something that they would, just so out of convenience. Like everything seems to logically progress and build on itself and build from the events that happened before. I love it. I think it's objectively excellent. And whenever anyone like Mahler from EFAP doesn't like the show, doesn't wow him, and I don't understand it. That guy is such an intellectual critic. He understands like so much about writing and progression. This show didn't wow him, and I don't get it. And I don't get that with anyone watching this show. The only thing I can understand is maybe it's not your taste. Maybe you don't like this, like maybe sci-fi is not your thing. Maybe the plot's too dense for you to stay interested. I can understand that. But the quality, oh my God, the quality. This is, so now Naomi, I think Naomi's giving the rocket to Fred Johnson. Giving the rocket with the protomolecule in it that she said she blasted into the sun, but she didn't. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, Naomi. Stone's on you. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, not doing anything, Holden. Don't you worry about it, buddy. Just on the computer doing engineer stuff. Nothing to see here. Just go back below deck. Don't you worry. Yep. Definitely not betraying everyone or giving them the protomolecule or anything like that. That would be crazy. I'm not doing that. It's amazing too. Like she's betraying him right now by giving the belt the protomolecule, and she's still like mad at him at like some relationship thing that's going on. It's like, damn, audacious. Oh, and here's Amos looking like hell, looking like utter hell. Looked like he just gotten off a 4-day bender. He, I don't know if he was helping or whatever. Remember, but this was back the last episode. He couldn't handle. It's really weird. He couldn't handle helping all the refugees. Like something about it affected him deeply. And then like he got a little like bossy with a woman, and this little kid came after him. Like, don't hurt my mom. And then he just looked at like he couldn't believe he was the bad guy, so he just booked it. Great set here on Tycho. So many extras on that set too, and such a like, God, it must be expensive to have built that out because it looks like a town in a space station. I mean, I feel like that cost a pretty penny. But the detail they never skimp on detail in this show. It's reminds me of the original Star Wars trilogy a little bit in the sense that there's always richness in the frame. Not always, but a lot. Whenever you see a set, there's always a lot going on behind them. The sets are always very specific. It's not just random things. There's a reason for everything. It's a well-conceived world. And now Anderson Dawes' descent with Fred Johnson is spreading. It's spreading to the other belters, and that's not going to bode well for our heroes, I tell you. Here's Prax. Back with Prax on this farm ferry ship. Ooh, yeah, this is that sequence. Oh, this is so brutal. This is one of the most brutal things that happens on this show, easily. And a lot of brutal things happen on this show. So they're on this farm ferry ship, and they're going to take what they said they're going to do. They're going to meet up with another ship. They're going to part ways. And the one ship's going to take everyone from the inner planets, from Earth and Mars, go and ferry them back and take the belt off to where they're going, which I think is Tycho. And Prax is like going to go with his friend, like, hey, I'll come with you to Mars. We'll figure it out. And the guy's like, no, inners only. You stay here because you're with the belt. And she's like, no, it's okay. I'll join with you. I'll join with you later. And she's like, all right. And so they're going to lose gravity for a minute while they dock with the other ship. Shut the door. And there's this glass door between the, like a glass window between the two of them. They lose the gravity. They lock in with their mag boots. And in the room, they lose their gravity, and they're like, oh, let's just start floating. And he's looking right at her through the glass in the window, and she's kind of smiling, like, it's fun that we're weightless. Isn't this funny? And then all of a sudden, they're joining at the door, and they're smiling, and they're like right next to each other. And then they're like putting their hand on the glass, having a little that window love. Like, I'll see you soon. Just having the moment. And she's like smiling back at him. And then like all of a sudden there's like this kind of realization. They're looking, and then a wind burst, and then all the oxygen is sucked out of the room. Because they opened the airlock and then just dumped out everybody. So brutal. They just dumped all of them. That sequence is dark. Really dark. He just like, this guy woke up from a coma the other day. His daughter's dead as far as he knows. Then the only friend he has in the world left, he just watched get sucked out an airlock because she's from Mars. And there she is, just slowly like suffocating in space. This show does not fuck around. This show does not fuck around. It's such a great show. Such a great show. Man. Gets me every time. Gets me every time. Never watched this show without like finding myself completely captivated by it. I've seen it so many times. Here's Cara G, my love, my absolute love. Drummer and Naomi. I love their relationship. I love these two tough belter chicks and like their budding friendship. I think it's really cool. It's cool to see Naomi with like her people. And it's cool that like Drummer kind of like respects Naomi. I love that about her. She's so cool and funny. And it's so interesting when you see an actor and they're nothing like the character they play. It's like, wow, you're really good at that. That is amazing. You are nothing like that person. You know, you see a lot of actors, it's like they're just kind of like, you know, versions of themselves. I think I'm kind of like that when I act, you know, just kind of a shade. But she's like a completely different person. Incredible. She's so badass. I love Drummer so much. Her voice and just the way she articulates and these looks. So much in her face. So much in her face. Because that's what's going on. She's thinking. She thinks like just so much comes out. And the cinematography is amazing. I mean, this show's really well shot. You can do a lot with low light, keep things, you know, clear, but shadows. Not that I understand how much of that works, but can recognize when it looks good. And it looks good here. Oh, she's explaining the situation, how she found Fred and how they became like a team and how much she respects him. You know, she's loyal as fuck. Drummer's character is loyal as fuck. Like she's mad loyal to him. And then in like the third season, yeah, I think it's the third season or the fourth season. When like the OPA gets a little more bureaucratic with the inners and she has to kind of do stuff she doesn't want to do. She does it because she's loyal to Fred Johnson, which is like such interesting character, you know? Like, just such good writing. And it's cool to watch a really strong character like that fucking just, okay, all right, I gotta do it. I don't want to do it, but I gotta. I think this ship is now the what's it called? The farm ship is now reaching Tycho. What are they? I wonder what they're planning here. I forgot what they're planning. Because they're on Tycho. Fred Johnson's talking. Holden, as always, has his own ideas, doesn't care about what I love Holden. I love his idealism, and he just always thinks he knows. And usually he's right, but it's not always that simple. I love that. It's a great character too. I mean, all the writing on this show is amazing, but it's amazing. Like, I love the characters, like, especially like the good characters, that even they're not right a lot, even though they're spiritually correct, like practically they're not, like how this would play out just doesn't work. That's great. It's really smart. I would love to sit in this writer's room. I would just love to listen to them work and figure out how they get themselves in and out of problems and like where the progress goes. I'd love to just witness that. It'd be so remarkable, so interesting. It'd be really cool. It's such a good show. So the farm, what's it called? The ferry, whatever. The farm ship arrives at Tycho, and they're getting all the refugees off that boat and giving them medical care and this, that, and the other. And Prax is like, I witnessed a crime. And the woman on Tycho's like, there's a lot for me to do right now. I can't start an investigation. And she's like, I'm sure you can figure it out. I think that this was a little interesting about the plot with this show, where that happens to Prax. He watches his friend die, gets sucked out an airlock. And then the first thing he does once he gets there is he tries to report the crime. And then that's the last time he attempts to do anything about that, which that seemed a little weird. I thought he would have circled back to that once or twice, but it is what it is. There's a lot to cover with this show. And it wasn't a huge plot point. It was just something brutal that happened. Absolutely brutal. I love their use right now. We're in this giant refugee scene. I mean, there's got to be 150 extras in that room. All these like refugees coming and going and getting medical care and all that. I love that, like, Alex Kamal, like one of the major, players like on the Rossi, is just basically one character is handing out stuff and just has one line. And he's just in the shot. Like, it's such a cool use of texture and world building, because it's not about Alex right now, but he is in the world. So it's like, you feel like, this is like another angle on the same world that we've been seeing this whole time. It just gives it so much validity and it's so rich because of that choice. These guys really know what they're doing. They really do. And it's funny. It's like one of these shows I want everyone to watch it. I think it's the greatest show on TV. It's the best written. It's the best, most executed, most compelling, layered and nuanced and so goddamn interesting. But at the same time, I feel if it gets too big, it'll really get fucked up. Because I'm a little worried based on like the press conference about what the 5th season is going to be like. Like the woman who plays Naomi, I forgot her name, Dominique Tipper, leaning a little heavily into the social justice stuff in that press conference that I would have preferred. So I hope that the new script, I hope the new season doesn't lean into it too hard at all, really. Because it's like this show is so great by depicting things without like making agenda-driven statements. Anyway, this is a great sequence. So these belters take the bridge of Tycho, and my bitch, my boo, my lover, drummer, is in a standoff, drops one, and then gets a gun to her neck, and they have to go down. I think she gets, yeah. And so these belters took the bridge, and because they're like agents of Anderson Dawes, who is just not a good man. Not a good man, but could be one of the most persuasive characters on the show. He's just so convincing. This is great too. So they're on all the refugees are on Tycho, and they're showing all the pictures of the people dead and missing. And it's like, and they throw that, and then everyone can, like, the people there can use their device to like throw a picture up there, like hoping that maybe someone has seen them. It's like, it's casualties of war. And it's so interesting to see like the casualties of war, the collateral damage, if you will, in space. You never saw that in Star Wars, right? Like you never saw like people displaced or refugees or like those that are starving or lost because of war. It's always kind of seen as noble. I'm not critiquing Star Wars. I'm just saying you don't see that side of it, because it's not that gritty. It's not that realistic. This is dealing with that. And it's so interesting to see. It's just a whole world that they get to explore. And here, what's his name? Holden and Naomi, they confront Prax. Prax thinks he's about to get killed because he was reporting the crime of the people getting murdered on the farm ship. But no, they know that he came from Ganymede, and he knows the doctor who's connected with the protomolecule. And Holden's obsessed. He's obsessed. He's super focused. Oh, right. And now because he's connected with that doctor, they pull the metal cylinder and they're going to open it. And oh no, it's going to have some blue goo in it. No good. Oh, it's just a soybean. It's okay. Just a little misdirect. And Naomi and Holden are like, oh, well, hey, man, our bad. Hope there's no hard feelings about us just, thrusting you up against the wall and putting a gun to your head. Hope that wasn't, hope you're not going to hold any grudges. And now we're back at the bridge. This is such a good scene. I love it. And this is the drummer. This is where you really learn to love her. This is where she really starts to become a super badass. Oh, man, I think they just shot someone who worked for Tycho, just executed him. And they're threatening Fred. Oh, yeah, I think they're trying to get all the nuclear missiles. I think that's what their plan is like to get all the nuclear missiles. And that's it. So they're convincing, they're trying to convince trying to convince Drummer to give them the codes. Ooh, and then they just pop Drummer right in the gut. And that's like the pressure, trying to put that pressure on Fred. So that, he just shot someone else, just shot Drummer in the stomach. It's no good. It is no good. And here we go, Amos and his brood. And he's searching for that woman, Lydia, who's like one of the, back on when he was on Earth, probably like one of the only people who was like nice to him. I think they explored that in the new season. It's in the trailer, so I'm sure that they do. And now Alex is confronting Amos for being selfish and not helping the refugees. And it's really not Amos's MO to not be helpful. He's usually very helpful. And in his own weird way, quite compassionate. He's just got a broken brain a little bit. He's a little nuts. And he's confronting him. Alex is getting all up in his shit, which is not smart because Amos is not normally this quiet and brooding and distant. And he's also like liable to snap. He's hitting Amos. And Amos grabs him. He's going to throw him down the He's going to throw him down the stairs. He's such a good character. Amos is such a good character. Because he's such a brute, but there's so much layers to him. There's so much like depth and history. isn't just like dun the muscle, like normally, most movies that's like what you get. He's a really vivid character. He also says some crazy shit. Yeah, he's all distant. Losing his mind, poor fella. Yeah. So now I think they snap into action. Yeah. This is when Amos and Alex figure out that it's going down for real and that the nukes are getting stolen. Oh, they're prepping to launch the nukes. And Alex is like, what the fuck? What the fuck? That's no joke. It's a cool layered plot right now. There's a lot going on. Holden checks his phone like, I don't have time for Alex Kamal's nonsense. I've got to finish this interview. Meanwhile, the whole station's about to be taken over. I find what I really love about this show, or something that I really love about this show, because I watched it right around the time that Witcher was popular. And in Witcher, every single episode has these kind of obligatory action sequences that at first were really cool. But like midway through the season, you're like, all right, he has to cut up people. They're insignificant battles. It's just the obligatory action sequence. This show never does that. All the action always comes out of plot. It's always very well built. All the moments matter. They don't have gratuitous action sequences just to have them. They all come from something that's important. And therefore, they have a lot more meaning. And they're not just throwaway, oh, look at them blow shit up. It's like, no, like there's significance attached to this. And then they'll lose characters and things will happen that really affect the overall story. And I mean, not a lot of shows are that good at that. That can keep it, can walk the line of having all this really tense drama that spans multiple systems, has political significance. I don't mean like modern day political significance. I mean, it has like these political implications of what happens, interpersonal relationships, and then like really badass like sci-fi violence. Drummer is going. She's fading, man. So we're back on the Tycho Bridge, and they keep trying to tell. They keep trying to get the missiles. I guess their plan is to launch them at Earth, because these guys are just like terrorists. That's what I love that about the Belters. I love the way they're fractured. Some of them are. Oh boy. Amos is in battle mode, bro. You don't want to be on the other side of Amos when he's in battle mode. That guy's no fucking joke. No joke, man. It's like being on the wrong side of like a Jaguar. But I like some of the Belters are just straight up terrorists. Like they just want to burn things and destroy. That'll have no political benefit in the end. Then you've got guys like Fred Johnson and other factions who are more practical. And they want to do it through diplomacy, force if necessary, but diplomacy first. It's like really interesting because that's just like life. So Amos is on the outside now of Tycho, and I think their plan, yeah, it's pretty cool. Because now they know what's going on in the bridge, and it looks really good. The visuals alone on this show are worth the cost of admission. It's such an interesting show. Jake D, hail to you, good sir. Hail to you. Glad to see you here, my friend. Yeah, man. I don't know if you've checked the show out yet, but I'm singing it lots of praises. And pretty good stuff, man. Pretty good. So it's all coming down. They're on the bridge. It's getting a little heated. And then Amos's plan. Lord Thoth as well. Oh, gang's all here. What's up, boys? Should invite you in. Invite you in to talk. And then they cut the oxygen, and it drops everyone in the room, and the Belters like start freaking out. Thoth, you love it, huh? That's what's up, dude. Hell yeah. Dude, we should cover some episodes together, man. I'd love to have you in. I was thinking about inviting someone else, but I don't know anyone who loves it as much as I do. You are cordially invited, sir, if you'd like to come cover some episodes with me. Because this show is the greatest, my favorite thing out there. So the oxygen goes down. Hell yeah. Hail Lord Thoth. They bring the oxygen down, drop everyone in the room, Holden and crew rush in, oxygen on drummer. She's so badass. She's the best. She's getting walked out, and as she's getting walked out, she takes Alex's gun and blows away 2 prisoners who are locked up, and then walks out on her own power. She does not give a shit. Oh, I love her so much. She's the best. She is the greatest. And now they're bringing Prax into his quarters because now he's part of the Rossi, which was a really interesting storyline too, because the way they use Prax, he at first like they kind of make it like, oh yeah, we'll help you find your little girl, but really they just want to solve the protomolecule situation, and if they happen to come across their daughter, great, fine, all to the good. But realistically, they're just using him for his information. And then somewhere along the line, they kind of realize their mistake. Like, wow, that was pretty fucked up of us to like use this man who's asking for our help and and then we just used him and like used his distress. So they eventually recalibrate, and then they do help him find his daughter. It's so interesting. It's such a good story. Yeah, I was saying earlier on the stream that it was interesting when I'm first introduced to him. I didn't really expect him to. I didn't even care. I was like, they keep introducing new characters, and by the time they do, I'm like, I don't care. And then I always find myself completely in love and captivated by them. Eric K. This is great, guys. Thank you for rating my stream. This is really fun. It's wonderful to see you all. Hope you guys are doing well. Look at this group. This is great. You guys are awesome. You guys are absolutely awesome. Oh, how cool. Well, this episode is not quite wrapped up. A few more minutes. And Naomi and Holden are embracing. And meanwhile, Naomi has betrayed them completely. And it's a cool shot. They show it right on her eyes. Just so, as that kind of close up, she's got that little bit of guilt. Good stuff. Such good stuff. And they hint there. They kind of touch a little bit on Alex Kamal's backstory with his like wife and kids, which was an interesting story too. I like the way they explore that. I love that everyone in this show's like a human, like a 360-degree human. No one. Lord Thoth, I would embrace Naomi even if she didn't have boob armor. Here. A lot of the women on this show I fall in love with. Drummer is absolutely my favorite. I cover her. I talk about that quite a bit about how much I love Drummer. Oh yeah. So now, yeah, Fred's putting the spurs to Holden, just saying like, listen, you do what I tell you, or there's no more free food, no more fuel, no more water. We work together, but you work for me. So I love that. I love when I like him putting his foot down. And now he's just taking off. And they're just like, all right, fine. Bye, Tycho. We don't need you. Off goes the Rossi into the wild black yonder. Best show on TV. Easily. Well, that's going to do it for episode 8. You guys coming is awesome. Super awesome, guys. Thank you so much for joining, and everyone else for watching. Thank you so much. Means a lot. I love that there's this many people who love The Expanse as much as I do, because I think it's the best show on TV, and having people dork out and fan out like me is awesome. Look at this shirt. Property of the Martian Congressional Republic Navy. Huh? It's the best. It's the best. And we got a new season coming up. So I am going to do everything I can to finish all these episodes before the new season. And then I'm going live every new premiere date, watching The Expanse live on the air. That's my stuff. And guys, thank you so much for joining. Eric K, Lord Thoth, Jake D, everybody. You guys are awesome. Everyone watching, you guys are great too. Thank you so much. That's going to do it for me. See you guys in the next one. Later.